How'd you do it, Penny boy? We're waiting. We're all waiting for the S1H II. That's the only thing you should be working on. That's G85 replica made in a sandwich factory. We don't need this shit in our lives. Today we talk about why I don't shoot or strive for Panasonic in my life, even though I own 4 different systems. Why Panasonic is not one of them yet. Potential yet.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we are on the pinnacle of gross. Sony color science confirmed. ZVE1. Zeiss Batas 18mm 2.8. S-Log 3 to Canon colors. Just using the Canon C-Log 2 LUT. I found that's the only hope. I'll switch to Cinetone soon as a laughing stock joke, and then we'll make a couple tweaks. Maybe a Fuji will make an appearance. And we talk about why I don't like Panasonic so much lately. So I own 4 systems right now, and I love each of them for different reasons. The ZVE1, I love it for vlogging, for slow motion street videography, just the autofocus reliance, everything about it except the colors, of course, like we're witnessing right now. So it's like a disgusting look. Why the hell would I ever fill my face with it? I don't even know why I'm doing it. But like for so tiny, like this is cheaper than the Fuji X-H2S. We're talking full frame, best thing you could ever get. Tiny, lighter than most Micro Four Thirds. Beautiful system, love this so much. So fun, hate the look so much. I have the Nikon Z6 III for wildlife mostly, but it can also do this and almost anything the Sony can do, but better. With red LUTs, beautiful skin tones. At times I look a little red for some reason. I'm not sure what the hell that is all about. But Nikon, beautiful system, complements my Sony. Just like some dignity, real color science. Then, little Canon C70 might make it into your life. Don't know why I have that. Just made a couple videos on my Vegetable Police channel with it. Beautiful colors, reliable. Autofocus, not great. But like, as you're seeing, you could have Canon colors or fake Canon colors, and you'll never be the same. So it's like there's a place for Canon to use my Canon L lenses that I love so much. I love Canon. And then I also own the Fuji X-H2S for no particular reason other than it's funny to have something so cheap, and I wanted to see what the autofocus was like. Was Edward really right? And he was more right than any of us ever wished. Too right. Like, God, the XT3 is better. Like, they just keep getting worse. And it's funny to be a part of the system, and the look is great. Gotta tell you, I love standard. Just a standard color and ProNeg high, not bad. When you suggested it, I was like, that's actually quite nice. So like, we all have our place here, and where does Panasonic fit into that? Because when I made that video, these are the 4 best cameras and why I own them. We just like summed it up. People were saying like, what about this Panasonic S5 II, bro? I'm like, are you joking? Who are you? You're competing. Right now I have the ZVE1. That camera competes with the A7 IV. It's worse than this in every way. I do 4K 120, almost full frame. Panasonic does 4K 60 with a crop. Like, what are we even doing? HD 240, perfect autofocus. You have HD 180 with a huge crop, manual focus only. Are you even trying to get a date with my shoes right now? Like, what are you even licking to get into the building? Who are you? You have 7 diseases that I can count right now. You're asking, why are you talking to me? I just switched to S-Cinetone to show you that Panasonic color science can eat its own heart out, because perfection has been achieved. Not really. I hate this so much, but I made some tweaks in camera. I'm just curious what happens. I lowered the reds, up the yellows, even up the blue for some reason. Thought that might throw a curveball into the mix. But when it comes to Panasonic, like what you're bringing to the table, I shoot Sony for the brilliant autofocus, and the stave is actually quite good. Like, it's beautiful. Canon for the colors. Nikon for the wildlife, the lenses, really. The Fuji for the lenses and the look. I love that I can get many different looks from that camera that I all love. F-Log 2C, beautiful, standard, Astia, ProNeg high, even nostalgic neg, or whatever the hell. I love all these cameras. When it comes to Panasonic though, I've never liked Panasonic colors. I don't know why. The Panasonic G85 that I owned was like, I don't know, it always looked very orange, like something was off with the white balance. I was like, what the hell happened? And then I remember trying the Canon M50 in Thailand, and I was like, holy shit, look at those colors. Oh my God, the blacks are actually black now. Oh, my teeth aren't like a mauve orange. Like, wow, that's cool. Looks like I eat carrots. And even with their newer cameras, like the Panasonic G9 II or the S5 II, S5 IIX, I've tried all those, and I wasn't blown away by anything they have color science wise. So like, that's not a reason you go. The real reason you get into Panasonic is the stabilization. But if I was just vlogging, you might have a point. Panasonic S9. I'm sure you could find a lens that isn't the worst thing ever in that system. Decent stabe if you only want 4K 24p. Brilliant system. I want more though. I already have way more than you even are thinking of making in the future. Like, you just released a G97. What was that? Why did you do that? The only reason was to get a USB-C port because you were about to be arrested by the European mafia for not having that port. Like, that's a rule now. All cameras must have this port. And so like your G85, your G95 no longer could be sold legally unless under the black market, Yakuza type of thing, the railroads. You know how that works. But I could argue that the G85 is still better than this new G97. Like, I have less of a crop in 4K. You crop more, you did not add phase detect. Like, what even was this? This was nothing. It's a nothing burger release for no reason. I can't even fathom the reason other than the Yakuza Mafia railroad thing with the ports. It's like, okay, you had to do that, I guess. Couldn't you go to work that day as well? Okay, phase detect. Tiny, like, everyone's asking for a tiny micro four thirds body with phase detect. Not me personally, but I prefer the finer things in life. The finer things that Fujisan Industries brings us with Proneg High technology. Things look very dark. That's not my fault. So, Panasonic, your G9 II, kinda cool. GH7, that'd be fun. 300 frames per second. Okay, I have to manually focus only. That hurts. You're getting airy log. That's cool. ProRes RAW. Wow, I can't use that in DaVinci. What backdoor deals did you make? How come they weren't with Blackmagic? You know, the one in your alliance? Calm down. Calm down. Blackmagic RAW is not rentable. It's not a whore. You can't just whore out your wife to Panasonic every night. I love Leica lenses. I could talk myself back into Panasonic faster than you could even watch the video. It would be fantastic having Penny Boy. I remember selling this bullshit camera for the GH6, and the GH6 without phase detect autofocus had better autofocus. And then the 300 frames per second was way sharper and cleaner. It's like, wow, Panasonic, best stabe in the business. They're the underdog, and I love that. But some people have to work, and they need their stuff to be reliable, so they went to Sony, and they're having all their 10-bit 422 log everything, plus brilliant autofocus. So it's like, okay, and super slow-mo 4K 120 HD 240. Sony, most people went there. Some stuck around the Fuji universe for that look, that weird look. Leather pants, on sale. Some will never leave Canon. Like, that's just a beautiful look in its own. Canon color science, like, you can't match the skin tones. You've tried it and you've failed right now. Canon or Fuji? That was RAW, 12-bit RAW versus Proneg High for some reason, but whatever. There, just changed to F-Log 2C. Now it's a more fair comparison. So like, there's reasons to choose each company. I feel like Panasonic doesn't really bring anything. They used to bring the best stabe, but then other companies caught up somewhat to where it's like good enough. And like Sony has their Catalyst brows, Nikon is utterly trash, but yes, Panasonic still leads the industry, but how important is it? I really like it for vlogging, but when you're heavier than my full frame, you're no longer vlog worthy. So it's like the balance of like best stay, but it's also so heavy you can't even hold it. So the fact that your full frame cameras are just doing like cropped 4K 60, HD 180 in manual focus only, very boring specs that full frame cameras beat many years ago. So like Panasonic has really only come into full frame and made budget level models. They haven't beaten like an A7S III killer type of thing. But if the S1H II comes and they've reworked everything, just picture this. Panasonic DGO sensor, full frame, hasn't been done yet. Canon C70 is Super 35 with the DGO. Full frame dynamic range boost with Airy Log in Blackmagic RAW. Unlimited to any frame rate you want. 4K 120, HD 480 frames per second with autofocus. Low megapixel for the most dynamic range possible. Then you might have something, best stave in the business. Leica lenses. Oh my God, right now, how did you leapfrog you weren't even in the conversation, and then all of a sudden you can't even compare to a Panasonic. You're leading the industry in a Leica-like fashion with the best slow-mo, most dynamic range, and then the Panasonic usability, which was always nice. It's always a right-handed dial, no locking, pressing, lick, switch, bitch. You did things right, the menu systems, all these like 10 different custom modes. It's like Panasonic usability, waveforms, false color in there, come on. You're doing stuff, and then your new reworked color science with the Airy Log somehow brings you into respectability, and then all of a sudden we're looking in your direction because you got a skirt on, and it's like, well, look at you. Didn't notice you could have that body. Wow. But when's that happening? No time soon. You're not giving us any inkling that there's something on the horizon big coming. Like literally the G97 and a point and shoot zoom that you removed the viewfinder from. That was your upgrade and it cost the same, if not more. So like we're supposed to expect, oh, they're definitely going to leapfrog Sony any second now. You haven't even matched Sony's A7C II. That's the level you're on so far with your full frame. And then your GH7 matched it in a lot of ways and beat it, but is twice the cost and weight. Quote me on those numbers. Some of you are saying Panasonic lenses for the L mount. Some of them are like Leica copies. Potentially. Like a lot of Panasonic Leica lenses, they were great. They popped. They had that pop factor, the 25mm 1.4, one of the best lenses you could get. So it's like, okay, maybe Panasonic does know the 3D pop formula and they're hiding it. Then L mount becomes a thing and I want to join it. I just wonder if you've taken too long and everybody's moved on already, and whatever you're gonna do in the S1H II might look great on paper, but people made financial decisions and left you, and now they're not just gonna switch back because you have a couple cool features. Is it gonna be enough? Why is it taking so long? We don't have the patience. We're Gen 9. That's another thing. Like if your S1H II comes out and it's still like just matching Sony A7S III specs, I'll lose my mind. Because then it's like, what are we even doing? I thought this industry was growing. Aren't we trying to grow? I try to grow. I should probably make better videos if I want to do that, but I don't want to. I'd rather rant and cry at what I don't have like a baby would. And babies, do they not get fed when they cry? It's a strategy. So it's like, I hope they do well, and I do wonder if it's going to be enough to get someone to want to leave their system and head into Panasonic and then explore all the L mount lenses. But that Leica 50mm 22, budget Leica you can get. Still super expensive. That's all I would need. I could live my whole life with that setup. But like, is it gonna come anytime soon? What's it gonna be? The Sony A7S IV is gonna come and crush its dreams immediately. But right now, you don't really offer anything that I can't get in a system I prefer more. I prefer Canon and Fuji colors to Panasonic, and I outbeat you with all the specs too. Just the autofocus a little quirky in both, if we're being real. Like, you're not matching my ZVE1 in anything, pretty much. Nikon Z6 III, it's an utter disgrace that you're thinking the S5 II can compete with that. It's not even on the same league. We're doing 12-bit RAW internal, 4K 120 with a fun crop, versus your 4K 60 with a bullshit crop. It's the same crop, but I realize I don't equalize things, but why do you not shoot Penny Boy? Some of you suggest it, and I'm just like, why though? I'm not into just like, oh, I'll try it. I've tried it. I reviewed both of those, S5 II and S5 IIX, and the G9 II. Nothing's really new. GH7 is basically the G9 II with just a couple different colors. Are they even good? ProRes RAW, like you can edit that. So it's like, I hope you well, Penny Boy, and I'll be the first in line at a used factory to buy your camera at a huge discount. And I'll enjoy the Leica 3D pop. But till then, get your shit together and try to match Sony A7S III from 2020. And I might look at you in your skirt, your stabilized skirt. Bitcoin agrees with today's episode. Who won the color science battle? Someone. Subscribe for more Authentic.